Should sword-wielding, treasure hunting, barbarian women be seen and not heard? I'm not quite sure, but that's the question Journey Comics tries to answer with Jill, the Treasure Huntress #1, and we have a review. See you in 3. And welcome back to Comical Opinions. Today we have a review of Jill, the Treasure Huntress #1, an indie submission from Journey Comics, available now on Gumroad. But before we get started, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell for a notification. Let us know how we're doing. Your attention is greatly appreciated. And stay tuned to the end for the rating and the review. So let's get into it. Jill, the Treasure Huntress #1 from Journey Comics is written by Evan Hundhausen and Brian Lohner. Brian Lohner is also the artist, the colorist, the letterer, and the cover artist. So I'm going to kind of spoil it a little bit right off the bat to let you know that this is not a traditional comic in the sense that there is dialogue and a setup and names of countries and all the kinds of things that you expect from the comic. It is a silent issue. Silent issues are kind of a rare beast these days because so much emphasis is placed on the script and the artist translating that script into a story that people can understand with no spoken words. That's what a silent issue is. It's a comic that has almost either no spoken words or very few that are part of any kind of dialogue or communication or written communication with the reader. It's all about the art. So Jill, the Treasure Huntress is a silent issue, and spoiling a little bit, it's successfully done. So right off the bat, this is a good comic. We just want to let you know that right up front. So what's the synopsis? We have, as the title suggests, Jill, the Treasure Huntress, who's very much a kind of Conan the Barbarian type of analog character. She infiltrates an ancient temple that's filled with all kinds of booby traps, weird puzzles and keys and locks to get from point A to point B. And inside the temple, you have a colony of these strange sentient eyeballs that are human-sized. Some of the elders have tentacles and green fuzzy hair all over their body. Most do not. They're just floating eyeballs that are part of some sort of collective hive mind. And they come after Jill, attempting to stop her from getting the treasure that she's after because she's the treasure huntress. So right off the bat, it's just simple. You have a hero that's powerful and athletic and dangerous with the sword against this mass of creepy ooky monsters that are trying to destroy her. So she goes from one trap to the next, everything from rooms with closing doors to spiral towers where the room starts flooding with water, and everything in between, where she hacks and slashes through hordes and hordes and hordes of these floating eyeballs. And then eventually she gets to the end. She meets the king of the eyeballs, if you will, and there's a big battle, and she succeeds in that battle and gets the treasure. But wait, before you think, well, that was it, that was a nice, fast, quick, interesting read, before that is all said and done, now that she has the treasure, she sees in the distance coming at her a squadron of what it look like, potentially, not quite sure, flying saucers. So are the floating eyeballs aliens that have set up a colony on Earth? We don't quite know for sure, but we do know that she's got a much bigger adventure waiting for her on the horizon by the time we get to the last page. And again, it's a very quick read because it's a silent issue. Everything is encapsulated in the action and the movement of the character, as well as the pacing of the different scenes as she moves from one area of the temple to the next to get to the very end. So what do we think about Jill, the Treasure Huntress #1? This is going to be a very short review because it's a very quick comic. It's almost like a sampler or a teaser. Even though you get a complete scenario, you don't get the full story just yet. But what do we think about Jill, the Treasure Huntress #1? It was good. Silent issues are tough to pull off. All the emphasis and the onus of pulling it off is on the artist to communicate through the movement of the characters, through the transitions of the scenes and the setting and the character movements, what's going on, what's happening, and how the story is progressing. You get all of that. So really hats off to both creators, but really the biggest hat goes off to Brian Lohner for pulling off a silent issue, which is not easy to do these days. So you understand exactly who Jill is, what she's after. I mean, it says it right there in the title. She goes from one booby trap and one enemy-infested room to the next, You understand what she's trying to do, and when she gets to the end, you understand what she accomplishes, and then you also see at the end a very large cliffhanger that explains, okay, some bigger things are on this horizon. It's very simple, it's very fast, but very effective, and the art is good. I mean, it's very comic booky type of art. You're not going to get anything fancy or hyper detailed. There's almost a, I would say, if you're looking for an art style, it's not quite matte graining for Futurama or something in that line. It's a little bit more grounded than that, less caricaturish, but the art is good. And what counts is the movement and the action and the character acting, and it's all right there. There are a few sound effects, but not much. It's all about the pacing, the movement, and the characters being able to convey what's happening through their actions. Is there anything we didn't like about Jill the Huntress #1? Honestly, not much. Everything else is just nitpicks. I mean, sure, you could say, well, I want the art to be a little bit higher in quality, and I want the characters to move, with a little bit more finesse, maybe a few more big wow moments. But it gets the job done. This is a solid, rock solid comic adventure from start to finish. Just a quick point of interest, or interesting factoid: the comic is currently available on Gumroad. It's an indie comic, and Gumroad is one of the platforms where you can place indie comics, but is a honor system, pay what you think it's worth type of scenario for this particular issue. So even though the cover price, or not the cover price, but what is advertised on Gumroad is $8, you can make an alternate bid for a more fair price. I would say, just for the simple fact that it's a fun story with good art, good action, and you get exactly what you expect, I would say it's probably worth the $8, because it is an oversized issue. It's about 40 pages, including the covers. So you get quite a bit of meat to the story there, even though there's technically speaking, no dialogue. So if you do pick this up, they're asking for $8. You can pay less, which is good because it's Gumroad. But at the same time, I think $8 is fair pricing. And if you want to support these guys, I recommend you do so. Okay, so we covered the art, covered what we like, covered what we don't like, but we're going to keep it really quick here, because honestly, it paces very fast. Because there is no dialogue, there is no setup, there's no exposition, you don't need much, you're just following along on an adventure. Now, on the negative side, that means the plot is super thin, paper thin. Adventurer wants Jewel, adventurer fights through traps and monsters, adventurer gets Jewel. I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it. So there's not much finesse or detail in the plot, but with the silent issue, that's sort of the trade-off. So you get what you pay for, but if you're looking for a deep, nuanced, complex plot, you don't get that here. So final thoughts. What do we think about Jill the Huntress #1? It's a winner. If you're looking for a silent issue with action, adventure, and just barbarian sword slashing and cool monsters, and a setup for something bigger, you get exactly what you pay for. Considering it's a silent issue, which again always puts a huge burden on the artist, they pull it off. So that's it. Therefore, we're going to give Jill the Treasure Huntress #1 a 9 out of 10. And you say, well, that sounds really high. Because it's high because it knows what it wants to be. It sets out to do it. The creative team executes on it, and you get what you pay for. You get exactly what you expect, which is a simple, fun, you don't have to think too hard about it, good time. So that's it. Also, stay tuned next for our op-ed, where we talk about this past week's Comics Pro 2024, where we round up all the different announcements, both on the retailer side as well as the publisher side. So hope you enjoy it, and thank you for watching. You have a great day.